Good evening, and thanks for joining Southbound just past 9 o'clock here on Thursday night. As you can tell, my voice is getting just a little bit better from an amazing weekend. Nathan, who was there with me, if you saw us online, amazing. But before we bring in our special guest tonight, initial headlines, initial thoughts of Berlin just in general.
It was amazing. It was amazing for so many reasons. Firstly, we got to meet in real life, which was just surreal. Absolutely surreal. You know, we've been kind of podcasting together for about 3 years now. And obviously built like a good friendship through that. And so to kind of meet in Berlin for the Colts was just awesome. And just what a weekend, man. You know, what a city. So much to see, so much to do. And it was really cool being at that Colts bar location, Lindenbrau, for anyone watching who went. They really took over that section. They gave fans, plenty of bars, plenty of things to eat, toilets to use, games to play. The stage had their constant entertainment on it. A really cool experience. And I'm sure we'll get to the game later on in the episode. But yeah, it was just what a weekend. One I will hold very fondly in my memories.
Yeah, especially because of the result. Made it a lot better. It's tense there at times, but we did it. And joining us tonight is a very special guest, someone who's been a fan of the show and supported us in our content and managed to meet up with Nathan in Germany as well. And that is our good friend, Chris. Chris, thanks for joining us tonight here on Southbound. How are you?
I'm good. Good, guys. Thank you for having me. Really good to be on.
Pleasure.
Great. Chris, it was absolutely surreal when we met, and you kind of just walked up to me in a bar and was like, I watched the show, and then we got talking, and you were like, oh, the guy who comments and who's called Chris. I was like, yeah. We love Chris. Like, Chris makes the show so much better. He's like, I'm him. So I was like,
that's me.
I was like, dude, you're coming on the show as quickly as we could get you on. So yeah. Thanks for joining, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, so that's proof, guys. Like when everyone comments and gets involved with us, it makes it a lot better. And I don't mean just Colts fans, NFL fans, because we are a growing community over here in the UK and in Europe, as we all know. But thanks to those joining us tonight and watching us. I apologise if you're watching this and you're not a Colts fan, because it's going to be extremely Colts-centric. And I bet you can guess why. Well, Chris, your initial thoughts of Berlin, Great Host City. Have you been to an international game before, or was this your first one?
Yeah, so I was at the Frankfurt game in 2023. And Minshew Mania, so luckily I have been to Berlin before, so I didn't have to do any of the touristy stuff. It was just Colts all weekend. Nice. Basically, bought a room in the fan zone, didn't leave it all weekend. Honestly, I think you guys were saying it in the intro, like, what a weekend. I feel the Colts went all out for us, because you kind of see it with the London games when teams come over, whoever the home team is doesn't really, make, I guess, too much effort. Yeah. What we saw in Berlin, we had an area, we had multiple bars, the game experience, honestly, and obviously, it was the perfect way to end it with the game.
Yeah, and you're right as well, because everyone was there from, JJ Stankovic, who does the PA announcing and the Colts podcasting, to the owner, Carly Ursay-Gordon. I believe, is it? Oh God, I always forget the other two names, and that's really bad.
Kaylin was there.
Kaylin and Kathleen.
Yeah.
Like that. They were also there doing loads. Carly, as we saw, just like her dad, following her dad's footsteps, buying everyone drinks and, really giving back to try and build a sort of community. The Colts anthem with Scooter coming out, like that song's been ruthlessly stuck in my head all week now. But this was my first Colts game, first Colts event. I mean, it's a bucket list item ticked off. We had a great time, and Berlin was an amazing host city. Although, a bit of advice for Berlin: if you've got an American football event on with Europeans coming, get more beer, get more beer. I think if I'm being completely honest, maybe they was a little bit overwhelmed with all the people. I don't think they was expecting that many people. You have restaurants with poor one man trying to serve like 32 people, like 8 pints of beer.
Yeah.
But other than waiting a little bit for food and beer, the atmosphere was great. I didn't hear of any trouble or anything like that. Just all around great time. So I'll let you guys decide, Nathan and Chris. Do we want to get into Chris first, or do we want to get into the game first and leave Chris for a bit later?
Let's get into Chris first. Let's find out a little bit more.
Yeah. Go on, Nathan.
I've got an opening question for you, mate. So I was also at the Frankfurt game. We didn't meet back then. But I found it a stark difference for the better in Berlin for the exact reasons you said. It felt like India had invested in the fan experience in Berlin and maybe learned from what I would say kind of like a tragic lack of investment in Frankfurt. From memory, it was just one bar that was completely overwhelmed by how many people were there. And it had plastic toilets on the outside you had to walk through. Would you agree? And what was kind of like one of maybe some of your like favorite parts of the weekend?
Yeah, on that first point as well, like massive shout out to the Colts events team, the ownership group for putting the time and effort in, because obviously this all would have been planned like way before the season started, and our season outlook was fairly bleak, I would say. So it kind of would have been so easy for them to just mail it in, forget about the Frankfurt, the Berlin game. But amazing job. And I could definitely see sort of stark differences. What I love about going to the German sort of stadiums as opposed to the UK ones, like, don't get me wrong, when we have games at Wembley, games at Tottenham, they are usually like pretty decent events, but what you don't get is the sort of the space around the stadiums. And like Frankfurt and the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, there's so much space where you can have these, you can meet the cheerleaders, you can bang the anvils, you can get a million beers. Like, the difference is, night and day.
Nice, man. Awesome. I mean, let's try hold off on the game a little bit. I'm sure we'll get to the game very soon. Kind of, what's your story? How did you get to the Colts? Talk us through it.
Yeah, I love these stories. Like, I think I must have asked 50 fans this weekend. So mine is one day I put it on like Sky Sports on the TV. Didn't know what the game was, what the rules were, nothing at all. And the Colts were playing the Saints. I believe it was 2011. So not the best year for us. And I flicked this game on, and it was something like 55-7 to the Saints. And what any reasonable person would do would be to steer well clear of the Colts. But, us Brits, we love an underdog story. So, I just sort of adopted them as my team, and then, decided I was going to learn the rules, learn the game, mainly through playing Madden. And then as my fiance would tell you, it's become somewhat of an obsession for me over the past sort of 10, 15 years.
Nice. I mean, you're right. It's been a testing for years, hasn't it, for Colts fans, and especially more recently. So you hit this nail on the head earlier. Our pre-season appearance was pretty bleak. Where did you think we'd be at this point in the season?
I thought we'd be 9-1. No, I'm joking.
A man of my own heart, I must say.
Yeah. So pre-season in our Colts group, Sam, who runs all that side, he put in a poll where you could vote on, what you thought the score was going to be. That our record was going to be. I'm pretty sure I went for 9-8 as a sort of finishing point, because we've sort of lived around 500 for a while. Obviously, apart from the sort of 2022 season. But there was someone in that group who said we would be 8-2 going to Berlin. So I have asked him for the lottery numbers for this week.
Oh no, that's amazing, and I agree. I can't say I agreed with you. I had us winning maybe 4 games max.
Right.
I was so outdone, Daniel Jones and Shane in some respects. But question for you then on your thoughts on Chris Ballard pre this season.
Yeah, I was just fed up. I think after the end of last season, I said, fire everyone, get rid of Shane, get rid of Chris. Yeah. So yeah, I won't lie and say, I'm his biggest fan. But what he's done with this team, this iteration of the Colts, I mean, it's pretty hard to, pick holes in our roster and pick weaknesses in our game. So yeah, pre-season, not a fan, but I've never been more happy to be wrong.
Yeah, we've spoke about it over a few weeks, Harrison, haven't we? That it's hard to kind of disagree that this is the best Colts roster we've had in years. In multiple debates, I'm sure you could probably win that one, and all kind of spearheaded by Daniel Jones, which imagine pre-season someone says to us, you're going to be 7-2 going into Berlin, and after Berlin you're going to have the number 1 offense, the number 1 QB in multiple metrics, the number 1 running back, the clear MVP in the league for me in Jonathan Taylor. I know it's stacked against him to win it, given what that award has become. But this guy's on for a historic season if he keeps it up. But Harrison, I'll hand back to you to move us on to the game.
Yeah, so we have got a couple more questions here, Chris, but they will be afterwards, and they're a bit of fun, so don't worry. Sure. But I think you're right, Nathan. If you said to me 10 weeks ago, you'll be 8-2, Daniel Jones will be leading the league in passing, Jonathan Taylor will be the MVP, because he will be. I'm tempted to put a bet on it. I could believe that, right? Your early line's amazing. I could believe that. But then you say, also, Sauce Gardner will be an important player of the Colts defense.
Oh
I would have not believed it. Now, he needs to go and train with Reggie for a bit. But I have got the craziest stat from Berlin.
Go for it.
Well, I've got 2, so I'll give you 2. You 2 can decide which one you think is crazier. That was Alec Pierce's first touchdown of the season.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That was Alec Pierce's first touchdown of the season. And secondly, apparently the only man who can match Jonathan Taylor in yards per carry is Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Dan was scrambling, man. With comfort too, in multiple parts of the game. It was cool to see it. I think he got himself and the O-line out of some trouble with his legs too. I thought the line really struggled again this week, and I've kind of preached this year how good I feel that line is. But I think we've got to see Shane Steichen kind of simplify some play calls for not only for this old line, but for Daniel too. You know, you can't. You know, we laugh about it. It's not Madden, is it? I know sometimes we've made it look like Madden this year, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're getting pressured, I think over the last 2 weeks, we've been pressured more than anybody in the league. Jones, I think, is leading. How much he's pressured too. Like, just give him some slants. Just give him some meshes. Give him some first read. You know, not everything has to be, you know, 10, 15 yard throws. But yeah, crazy that Pierce has only had 1 touchdown. Dude's been catching everything.
And I will let Chris jump in and give his initial thoughts on the games. But whatever you just said, Nathan, you know it's going to be ignored, right? Shane has bet his whole mortgage on that he can get us to the Super Bowl with Daniel Jones. And I do think not to deviate too much and trying to keep it towards the Germany game, but I do think we have recently faced a couple of blitz-happy teams, more aggressive defenses, and TJ Watt, who's just a Hall of Famer, who did a lot. I think the Pittsburgh game has skewed a lot of facts and figures and people's opinions of what Daniel Jones is and what this offense is. That was just a freakish game. We're not going to have 6 turnovers in a game again. Well, touch wood. But we shouldn't. We shouldn't. We've not. That would be the outlier in this season, right? I'd love him. I'd love him to scheme a quick slant to Downs, a quick slant to, you know, Doolin, a little hitch to Michael Pittman, a bubble screen.
Yeah.
Well, go on, Chris.
Yeah, it's quite interesting what you were saying about, you know, getting the slants, getting the meshes in, because that's really where Steichen lived in his first 2 years.
Yep.
You know, every third down, mesh. I guess part of it is his confidence in the offense, right? Like, yeah, we can run mesh plays, but, you know, why get 7 yards when I can see someone open to get 15? Yeah. But yeah, I do tend to agree with you. I was a bit out on Steichen as a play caller for his first season was amazing. Second season, I thought he regressed massively. Start of this season, great. And now I'm kind of like, you know, every play doesn't have to be 20 yards. Like, yeah, I would agree with that.
And I think it's going to really be on show when we play Kansas City. Like, it's become, or for me anyway, and I'm interested to see if you boys agree, when we get to 4th and short now, I don't even contemplate that we're punting. You just know he's going for it. And, you know, I think he's been really good at it. I think, you know, creativity-wise and what he schemes up is unbelievable. But, you know, that first half, I was really pouting because we left 4 points on the field, I thought. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a tight game, you know, and he's leaving points out there. I think against Kansas and teams like that, you just got to kick points, man. You have to.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think he'll do against Kansas?
Go on, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing I love about the NFL is you get these amazing chess matches, right? Like Steve Spagnuolo's got all the credentials in the world. Was he got four Super Bowls, I think? Like, he's been doing this a long time, and you know, we've got this swanky new system, you know, this Shane Steichen. So I'm really interested to see how it works. But if we are trying to, you know, hit plays down the field at too high of a rate, I don't think that's how we win. And I think our recipe for success, and we kind of saw it in the Pittsburgh game, if we get into a hole and we abandon the run and we say, right, Daniel Jones, go win us the game, that's not where we're at our best, like, by any means. And we can't let that happen with KC because, yeah, Spags won't let us back in the game.
Yeah.
That's extremely valid. And I fully agree with what everyone's saying. But Shane Steichen just Fuck it, Alec Pearce is down there somewhere. Tyler Warren's there somewhere. Stick him at fullback, wildcat, right guard, left guard, put him anywhere. Go on,
do you know before you move on to our next point? I don't know if you guys have seen the free agency stories this week.
Yeah.
Alec Pearce is being predicted to make 20 mil a year.
Yeah.
Are you in or are you out at that price?
We was in as soon as we traded AD Mitchell.
Yeah.
It's like that. Is it the Rock and Kevin Hart meme where he's like, "Are you in or you're out?" And he's like, "You're already in." Like, and why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you pay him? Like, the guy is on. I think he's on pace for like some ridiculous. I can't think of the exact stat, but
I think it's about 1,000 yards with like 40 catches or something.
That's it. Yeah. That's insane. That's not been done before.
Because I am also in, but I want it done now. I don't want it to go to free agency because, you know, I'm just going to throw a team out there, right? Tampa Bay.
Yeah. They need,
Evans has just smacked his collarbone. Evans is like 33, 34 now.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin's knee's gone. They've got Ibuka, who looks like a stud. Outside of that, I don't quite see it. Sterling Shepard's there. He's a steady pro. When he's in the slot, I like him anyway. I don't like him when he's on the edge. But that's a team I could see going. We've got, you know, Baker, who's playing at, you know, potential MVP levels. I mean, Pierce in that system, I think is really good. You know, Pittsburgh, I could see it working in. They're going to have to get a quarterback who can throw, but I really want Pierce done now. I'd love it to break now. You know, that's how much I'm in on him.
So a quick note on that as well. From what I was listening to Zach Hicks this morning, I believe it was Zach. I think it was the cover two. Anyway, I can't remember. But they were saying, like, so the plan is the Ursays are paying Sauce Gardner out of their own pocket, which is about 20 million or something. He's mad bonus that he's getting. They're paying it out of his own pocket. So technically it doesn't hit the cap. So for me, that's your first 20 million. And even if you franchise, I can't see it happening, but if you franchise tag him this year for 20 million and promise him, if he keeps it up, a mad signing bonus and a whatever further down the line. But as soon as Mitchell went, mate, you know, that was it. They're going to keep him. But I know what you mean. It's just that anxiety.
Yeah.
It's like being in the transfer market, and just get it done. Why are you messing around? And then someone comes in and sweeps them off. You're like, great.
I just think that, like, I think there's some alien that's come in and taken over my brain with how positive I'm about to be. But like, I think we're in a 3-year window, boys. I think this is a 3-year window. And if it's not done in 3 years, it's all being torn apart because, you know, Kenny Moore, D-Buck, Grove, Sauce would be what, 29 in 3 years' time. Bynum, Mooney, that's just defense. You know, all 3 years' time, they're not getting paid fully guaranteed deals. Be surprised if Buck's still playing in 3 years with how screwed his back is, or the rumor of how screwed his back is.
Not looking
That's
good.
before we even look at the offense. So, you know, I want Pierce done now because then burning all down.
Yeah. So I'll move us on to the defense then, because, you know, it was a bit of a. It's hard watching. I've had to watch it back a couple of times, not just for enjoyment, but it's hard watching it from where I was sat because you can't see what you can see on TV, and you know, I think I've got to give someone a shout out who usually does get a bit of stick, and he gets a stick because I know this Berlin game is how well he can play, and he just doesn't do it every week, and that's Zaire Franklin.
Yeah.
He was massive this game. He was all out. And, you know, I'll let Chris jump in. I'll sort of put it to you. What are your thoughts on Zaire? Because he's been here a while. He's a captain, you know, in my eyes. He's got the boy's gene in him, and he just ends up doing something stupid, or he gets involved, or he starts calling quarterbacks names and gets us burnt every time we play against him. But then on the flip side, this is his ceiling. You know, this is a captain's performance.
Yeah, I mean, I'll obviously back any Colts player, as I think all fans will. But I think out of our whole roster, he has to be the most polarizing player. Like, you can talk to one person and they'll say, well, he's an all-pro linebacker. And you talk to someone else who's like, actually, he's not very good.
Yeah.
But totally agree. Those two plays in overtime when he did to the Falcons center, I think it was it Jared Verse when we played him in the Rams, when he just got a running start and just steamrolled over the center. Yeah. And then the very next play, I think it was the next play, he got the sack that forced them to punt. And he did it in the Chargers game as well on Lad McConkey when he broke the pass up in the end zone. Like, if Zaire wants to show up and be our Mr. Fourth Quarter, then be my guest. Like, it's it's really nice to see from him.
Yeah. Nathan?
My thoughts on Zaire or the defense in general?
You can go on the defense in general if you want.
I want to talk about Sauce. And if my mates are watching, they're going to be like, oh my God, again. Because all I did all weekend was talk about Sauce. I was so wrong on Sauce in the moment. And I'm interested to see if you boys had the same feeling. Obviously, he got beat twice early. I thought it looked pretty bad live. And I was like, you know, swearing and going, you know, this is Sauce, right? After the game, I looked at his stats. He quite literally only allowed like 43 yards, I think, all game. The 2-point conversion to Drake London. He clearly slips on, but I was sat Falcons end zone on the other side. So to me, it just looked like he got mossed. And I was like, no, this is Sauce Gardner. Like, what's going on? But, you know, I was reading like a timeline of his events. And, you know, obviously he arrives on Thursday practices. Yeah. He stayed late for, I think it was 4 hours to, you know, learn more of the playbook. Friday flies to Berlin. Saturday keeps learning the playbook, and Sunday's on the field. You know, I really take my hat off to how well he performed given those circumstances. But I'm just interested to see if live, gents, you thought the same about Sauce or you thought different.
Go on, Chris.
Yeah, there was definitely a part of that. You know, personally, I wasn't expecting him to, you know, come out and shut down Drake London at all. He was so close to having that interception as well. Yeah. That would have just been the icing on the cake. But yeah, I would agree with you on that. Maybe didn't pass the eye test, but when you go back and look at the numbers, like, you know, this season Drake London's a borderline, maybe even a top 5 receiver so far this season. So, you know, and talk about trading for a guy, putting him on a plane, throwing the playbook at him and say, right, go and cover Drake London. Like, yeah, I definitely don't think that was the best we're going to see out of him. But I do agree the eye test was very different to the stats test.
Yeah.
For me, so I was sat like in front of Sauce Gardner, if that makes sense, when that 2-point happened, but just off to the right. So I saw the slip instantly. I just like, oh, he slipped. Said it to myself. If that's the worst, Sauce Gardner, we've won the trade. Well, I'd say it's a win-win trade anyway. Before any result, I say it's win-win. But if that's the worst, then we've definitely got our money's worth, because this defense now, I mean, let's just go through it. You've got Cross, Ward, Bynum, Sauce Gardner, Kenny Moore, Jalen Jones, Jonathan Edwards. We went from having a good corner room to not having one to having an elite secondary room. Fair play to Ballard and Carly Ursay getting that deal done because I thought it was massive. And I wish I could perform that well at work after flying, not getting any time studying, and just I was written off. So fair play to him. I thought he played extremely well, and I think actually Atlanta schemed Drake May away from Sauce Gardner a lot. I think they aggressively went out of their way to get him away from Sauce Gardner. I will say to Lou Anarumo, I don't want to see Jermaine Pratt trying to cover star wide receivers, especially when we get late into the season.
Leave that to Zaire Franklin.
Yeah. I was sat in view that side of that touchdown.
Yeah.
And I was sat with my mate, one who's a Steelers fan, one who's a Giants fan. So obviously it looked bad, didn't it? So they were laughing and stuff, going, "Oh my God, London's mossed your cornerback." And then I looked down, I was like, "What the fuck, Lou? Why is Jermaine Pratt on Drake London?" I was furious.
I said, I think that literally just come from Sauce Gardner was still playing in a Jets defense in his head, and he thought, "Oh shit, I have to cover wide receiver one or whoever was running out wide." So he's dropped back. Jermaine Pratt's gone, "Oh crap, nobody's there." So he tried to run back. And it's a good enough offense is gonna make you pay every time, especially in the NFL, regardless of who's playing. Any other standouts from defense? I mean, it's hard to look back at it objectively because I was there and it was quite an emotional but I will say it's made me realize that being a defensive player in the NFL is a lot harder than it looks on TV because I was lost. I was just I had no idea where the ball was going. I was like, I don't know how to do it. Chris, before we move on to talk about special teams a little bit, because I think it is worthy talking about any sort of we'll move back to Jonathan Taylor because he's getting his own section. But any defense standouts, any plays, any highlights that you want to pick out, or any players you want to select for a bit of a man of the match award?
If we're going to go through it, then I would probably say Cam Bynum. You've got to speak about.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had the huge strip sack, but also, apart from the Drake London touchdown in the corner of the end zone, they didn't really have anything deep all game. And obviously, we know that's Cam Bynum. He plays center field most plays. I thought he was excellent. Who else should we go with? Yeah, I mean, Zaire, already covered him. That's probably all from defense, I would say.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fine. Nathan, any standouts?
I have a standout who only really got on the field in special teams. Jalen Jones. Guy was balling, but just didn't get on the field. And I've kind of seen some stuff online that people think we're probably going to flip him in the summer for picks because, Ward's got to come back into this secondary.
Yeah.
Sauce played every single down on Sunday, which is incredible in itself, if you think about it, marking, Drake all game. But yeah, Jalen just couldn't get on the field, and I'm really not sure why.
And even bigger, mate, Jonathan Edwards got a few snaps ahead of him.
Yeah, he did. So, it's like, are we going to flip? I know it's one of your favourite coaches.
Yeah.
Mate. How would you feel if he gets moved on?
I mean, I'll be good because I was sort of obviously this is before we traded for Sauce Gardner, and even probably before, was it before? Maybe not before Jarius Ward, but I was looking at Jalen Jones solidifying himself as cornerback 2 at least, especially with Kenny getting older, playing a more of a nickel role. But it might just be personal taste from Lou. I think Lou, he quite like speed, doesn't he, on the outside?
Yeah.
And as we saw in Berlin, he's not, Jalen Jones is more size. He's not really the speediest DB. He's more size, like just by pure size, his head, the ball bounced off his head. Do you know what I mean? And instead of landing in Drake May's arms, I think it was. And he, and maybe there's something behind the scenes we're not seeing, or something that Lou doesn't like, or just something. But that would all just be speculation. I think it's just down to horses for courses type thing.
Yeah.
But I am a fan of Jalen Jones and a massive one. But elite competition, I'm sorry, mate. If we've just got Sauce Gardner and Chadarius Ward, Kenny Moore's going to struggle to get snaps. So,
and it's what Ballard preached all off season, wasn't it? And, he's preached it last year too, when we were kind of all, pitchforking for his job. He pitched, lack of competition, lack of elite play, especially on defense. And I think you've summed it up perfectly. When your cornerback room is now Sauce Gardner and Mooney Ward, that to me, is kind of reminiscent of like Revis, Chris Harris Jr. for Broncos.
Yeah.
It really did. Or like, it feels amazing to say that, but I think opposition teams are going to be that scared of it because those are two elite players, Just got to get Ward healthy, man, and hopefully he doesn't get another concussion.
One thing I'll say on that though is how much better are we going to feel if, touchwood, someone does go down in the corner room, and then we've got Jalen Jones to come in, who for most teams probably starts.
Yeah.
So credit to Ballard for putting that depth in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I say, like I still in my hopes, I've still got him on the 53 next year as like he's the next guy coming up who these guys can pass the torch to. But the NFL's a 1 week league. So special teams, let's talk about the negative first. Old Badgers didn't have the greatest game. And when it was it was 44-yarder to tie it, like that was like up our end, and I was just like, I had my hands covering my eyes. I was like, oh God, not like this, surely not like this. But thankfully he did find his form. Maybe it was just a bit of atmosphere, it's different. There's all the soft factors, right? But I mean, do we need to bring in some kicking competition? Is this something I need to worry about? Go on, Chris.
So I was actually speaking with some fans at the game, and we've been fairly lucky this year with the way that we've won. Most of our wins have been multiple score wins. When it comes to the playoffs, they're notoriously close games. If you have a kicker who can't even get it there from 53 yards, that is a problem.
Yeah,
that is a real problem. Because if you do want to make a Super Bowl run and you play 3 or 4 games, at least one of those games is going to come down to how many kicks can you make.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put it on Ballard too much because before his injury, Schrader was kicking very well. But now the trade deadline's passed. I know most teams probably wouldn't trade for a kicker anyway, but now you're just talking about guys who are on practice squads and guys who aren't even on rosters.
There's a reason they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I get it. Nathan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Shane was asked on Sunday if they're going to bring in competition. He said no.
Yeah.
He said they're sticking with Badgley. They were happy with the adjustment and they thought it was just a mistake. But I'll admit, I couldn't even watch that field goal. I turned away from it. I just waited to see the blue jerseys around me either do that or do that. I couldn't even look at it. I had no faith that he was going to make it.
I will say the 53 was up my end, and honestly, it looked like all the way it was making it. And it just fell short. I don't know what happened. It just fell short. But whether it has to do with, it was the same for everyone, but travel, occasion, it just got to him a bit. You know, he was trying to compensate for the atmosphere. It just didn't quite work out, a million things. But as a back, you can't have a backup kicker option, really. So,
Gary go kicking field goals.
Yeah. It's crazy. But onto the positives. What a return and catch from Josh Downs, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who the gunner was for the Falcons, but I thought he's brave catching that, considering what happened in the Pittsburgh game. And we like everyone in our section just rewatched it on the big screen, and you just did a ooh, because it was inches away from being muffed. That fair play to him. But also our running back too, he's slowly making a name for himself in Abdullah. Had a great return game, and when we needed these boys to return them, I think Doolin also got a big one, if I remember right. When we needed them, the return game and special teams, like a lot of times, really flipped the game for us.
Yeah, I think a positive for me was, this sounds so basic, like such a basic bitch thing to say, but like we won. You know, Colts teams of the last 3 to 4 years would not have won that game. No. It was there for the taking. I thought Michael Penix was terrible. I really did. Like, I was really high on him coming out of college. I mean, like, you know, I would have been happy, I think, if the Colts turned that pick in. I was that in on him, and it just looked terrible. But, you know, people who are way more fey on the game than me, you know, that I listen to in various podcasts, you know, they really slated Atlanta's offense this year and kind of how simplified it's become. So maybe we're not seeing the best version of Penix, and I hope we do, because I think in college he was electric. He's got such a rocket arm. But, you know, at half time, I was generally like, oh, we're going to mess this up. You know, it's literally year for the taking, and, you know, we're not going to do it. But they did. They did. And it just feels incredible right now to have the weapons we do. You know, I do it every week, but I'm going to do it again. Tyler Warren is just an absolute dog. You know, I had him at 8.5 to 1 for Offensive Rookie of the Year Sunday morning. I don't think he's that price now. You know, that dude is just elite, and I think it's so clear to see that Shane's playbook has just become bigger because he's finally got a tight end. And you know, on another episode we'll talk about his success at fullback. You know, he's on 4 touchdowns from the fullback position. That's pretty crazy as well when you think about it. You know, he's taking snaps at quarterback. He's just the most like exciting player that we've had for me in a while. But what about you, Chris? What positives do you have from the game?
Just tailing off the back of what Harrison was saying about the special teams. One of my favorite Colts, you know, if you ask someone to name their 30 favorite Colts players, I don't think many would put this guy on there. But Ashton Doolin, he does. If you could create a ratio of how many opportunities you get to how many opportunities do you make the most of, he's probably the number 1 player in the NFL. Like, you know, you let him return a kick, here's 50 yards to midfield. You know, you hand him an end around, I'm going to take it down to the 1 yard line. It's I love that guy. I thought he was amazing. I know the O-line as a whole didn't play well, but I thought Bernard Ryman was great. Like, obviously, a huge game for him. Like, I know he's not German, but you know, he's while we were walking around the fan zone, someone actually pointed a man out to me and said, "Oh, that's Bernard Ryman's dad." And you can definitely see where he gets the size from. But yeah, I was really happy for him. Quentin Nelson as well. And yeah, Doolan and Franklin. Those are sort of my four probably undersung heroes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, unsung heroes for me. Was it? Have you seen that block? I think it's from Gonzalez, and he just literally, it's like the reverse of a pancake. He just lifts the guy up.
Yeah.
Honestly, like how I picked my 3-year-old up, I was like, that's crazy. I don't know, because, like I say, I was there watching it live, so it's hard to go back and say, oh, that person did really something amazing and I wasn't watching. But I just think, Lou Anarumo really, it's sort of a combination of the ownership and Lou Anarumo, looking at what's happened with Colts defenses over the past years and going, this is not happening again. And I think a big shout out to Grover Stewart, because usually he's got his partner in crime, but I thought he was gone. I thought he was done for the season. I really did.
That knocked up bad.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, DeForest Buckner and no Grover Stewart. Then we were the ones who traded for a corner or not. JT Tuimoloau pulled out some good plays, and we're really starting to, especially now, Buck's out, we're going to start to see him maybe pick up a few more snaps and a few more plays. But yeah, just overall, I think maybe they will get the praise, but people don't quite understand the change is the ownership, because a lot of people were slating the ownership and Carly Ursay-Gordon at the beginning of the year. What's she doing on the sideline? Why is she wearing a headset? Why is she doing this? Why is she doing that? Well, she runs the best team in the NFL, so you can shut your mouths. But no, now the last section on the game, promise, I don't, because we don't have enough time to pick out every player. But again, I think Danny Jones is doing the job, what we're potentially going to pay him to do. So just keep doing that. I've got no worries there with Danny Jones so far. But we need to talk about it, boys, because all three of us watched franchise history making live. And yeah, you were one of the 75,000 people there that saw that happen. And what a way to do it. Like I think I said before, so I'll go on my little monologue and I'll let you guys both have your little monologue on this, because I think it deserves much more coverage than it's sort of gone under the, I wouldn't say it's gone under the radar for Colts fans, but national media, it's like, oh, Jonathan Taylor's got the franchise record. And it's like, yeah, let's talk about this a little bit more, because that's over Edgerrin James, who is one of the greatest running backs of all time. But for me, like I say, I'm sat there, sort of stood up on my knees, sat there crouching like a proper football fan, next to my dad, who's just enjoying his life being there, doesn't really know much about American football. And he asked me what happened. I said, oh, it's a few yard gains. We'll keep lighting on Jonathan Taylor, and then pop out to the sideline, a little blue dot just appeared. And it was like, I was like, that's not Jonathan Taylor. And honestly, just like, it's crazy watching it happen, but he's just running away. And I'm just like, don't get tackled. And I was sort of looking at Shane Steichen, who was just behind him. And Shane Steichen was going, and I was like, he's going. And just the stadium, like I say, I'm beaming about it now because it was truly an amazing experience. But the stadium, it was like just a collective gasp of, and then it just erupted as soon as it was gone. But yeah, I'll let you guys do your little monologue on it now.
Chris, you want to go first on me?
Yeah, I mean, where do you start, really? My my favorite thing about that run, obviously, you know, it's an insane run, the vision from Taylor. If you watch it back, right, you've got Tyler Warren's on the left side of the line. He's blocking down. Almost before Taylor cuts out to the left, he instantly turns, blocks someone, and takes off down the field. And then you've got Alec Pierce and Tyler Warren out in front of you. And I think that just speaks to like the selflessness of the team. Like, obviously, I'm not in the building, I'm not in the meetings, but to me, it seems like there's almost no egos. It's like, we don't care how we win. If I'm Alec Pearson, you know, I love catching the deep ball. If I need to run 80 yards, 90 yards across the field and block for you, I'm going to do it. And also with Jonathan Taylor, when he cut it out to the edge, the Falcons' corner out there was AJ Terrell.
Yeah.
He ran a 4.3 at his pro day when he was coming out of college, and he didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
He had the angle on Taylor, and Taylor said, "See you later." He was gone.
Where was you in the stadium, Chris?
Yeah. So I was sort of, you know, where the Colts end zone was. I was sort of on the side, close to that.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm going to break our one rule and talk about New England for a second, but I've watched the Colts 4 times now, and you know, I feel really lucky to have done that. One of the times I watched them was in Boston, the rivalries back on game where we got absolutely stuffed, and I saw Tom Brady throw his 500th touchdown pass. It was a 70-yard throw to Josh Gordon into triple coverage from the Colts. It was hell to watch, but it was beautiful, you know. So like that like feeling of history, like leaving that stadium was cool, but this just eclipsed it, you know. Like if Taylor's, you know, I loved your quote earlier, Chris, you know, pick your favorite Colt. Like I bet we could interview 50 Colts fans, and in their top 3 Colts, Taylor's going to be in there. You know, I don't think we speak to people where Taylor does not make that top 3, or you know, since he's been drafted, not just now. And yeah, I mean, you know, that's something that I think is going to stick with us for years, gents. You know, Taylor isn't stopping. I think he'll get an extension at the end of the year. So, you know, could he make it to 100 touchdowns? You know, will we see that happen? That I think that'd be just absolutely insane.
This season?
This season, yeah. This season, mate, yeah.
Free a game, mate. Free a game.
That's true. I mean, he'd nearly be there if he carries on how he's going. But just an amazing feeling. You know, piece of history coming home with. That's unbelievable. We can't ask for more.
And I think for me, like I say, I think he's already, if I've remembered this right, so we've got 7 games left. He's eclipsed Saquon Barkley's touchdown record last year. He's, I think, about, I can't remember the yardages, what Saquon got last year. But he's close to what Adrian Peterson got in his MVP year, and there's 7 games left of the season. Like, this is, people are not realizing, like, so I think I worked it out, and with Jonathan Taylor, roughly every 20-second attempt is a touchdown.
That's insane.
That's like, you know, for people who are soccer fans over here, that's like having Erling Haaland in your starting lineup. You're essentially with Jonathan Taylor, you're essentially starting 7-0 up. Like, I don't think, because it's sort of that thing, because we're a good all-round team, what nobody expected, and we have a great oil line, I don't think it's getting like the magnitude of what it should be getting. I think you obviously have your guys who go to bat for him and your media outtakes and Colts fans going to bat for him, like, but the names people are putting around him, I'm like, stop disrespecting one of the greatest running backs to ever do it. And, you know, I'm not saying the players are bad players that are being put around him, but, oh, well, Matthew Stafford could be MVP. Shut up. Get out of here. Like, we're 7 games in. We got 7 games left and he's already over 1,000 yards. He's got more yardage after contact than, like, I think about 30 other running backs.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got more rushing yards than some teams.
Yeah, also true. Yeah.
I just genuinely think it won't sink in until the season over what he's done this year. But as we say, I look forward to Patrick Mahomes winning the MVP for going 8-9 and losing in the championship round.
How different do you think the discourse would be if he was the Cowboys running back?
Massively different, mate. If he was,
he'd be out in front of the MVP race.
Yeah. But look at the chat Cam Scatterboo got, and just because he's in New York, and I'm not hating on Cam Scatterboo. I mean, I think he might need some mental help, but I think he's a great running back, and you know, but like it was like people talk about him like it's like just let's step back a minute and just appreciate what's going on here. But yeah, that's it on Jonathan Taylor for now. I could talk about him all night. Anything else from the game? Anything else from Berlin, gents, that you want to talk about? Highlights, maybe stuff you didn't like or that could be improved. You know, maybe stuff you thought could have been done better or stuff that you thought was done excellent.
The only thing I didn't like was how cold it was. Just that's on me. I didn't pack right. Like, I was wearing 5 layers at the game, and I was literally shivering in my chair. That's not Berlin's fault. That's my idiot fault for not packing properly. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, struggling to find bad things. I'll be honest. I loved all of the well, not all of them, but loads of legends were there. Like you had Edge, you had Dallas, Joe Wrights was there. I was lucky enough to get on stage and have a Stein holding contest against Dallas Clark.
Nice.
Yeah, he beat me pretty handily. Yeah, I was like really struggling, and he's just standing there laughing at me, holding this Stein. But he did give me a signed jersey after, so that was probably.
No way!
Yeah, wow. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
he kind of clowned me a bit because he wrote on it "best third place in Germany."
Oh my god! Nice.
That's cool, awesome, man. Is that getting framed?
Yeah. I will. I've not got anything framed yet, but I think that's going to have to be.
Yeah. You told the missus it's going above the bed.
Yeah.
Arson, let's quiz Chris to end the show. Let's get the fun question out of the way.
Yeah, let's do it. Just thanks for everyone watching tonight. Also, remember we do have I nearly forgot to mention it. A competition going on where you can win either an NFL Berlin t-shirt for first place or your team scarf for second and third. We've had great entries already. All you have to do is either subscribe or follow us, or even comment your pictures of Berlin on our social pages. I did put out a competition tweet, but in true Harrison fashion, it was a messy tweet and I forgot to put stuff in. So do go and check it out. Like I say, it's just a bit of fun. And you can win just a nifty gifty. But Chris, on to the most important question of all time. I'm imagining you've heard of Five-A-Side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is your ultimate five-a-side Colts team all time. We need these positions from you. We need a quarterback, a running back, a tight end, a wide receiver, a defensive player. But we also need, or just in a bonus fashion, you can throw in a general manager and the head coach.
Okay. So I think QB's kind of easy. I'd have to wait. So sorry, is this to play five-a-side football or?
Five-a-side American football.
Right. Okay. Because I was thinking Peyton Manning might struggle running down the wing, but he is going to be my quarterback.
not Matt Hasselback, no.
No, I mean it was close between him and Scott Tolzien, but I think he just running back. Obviously, I'm going to have to go the all-time rushing touchdown leader.
Yeah, that's a bit easy now, isn't it?
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, these are all pretty much done for me. I mean, tight end, I'm going to have to go Dallas Clark as well, even though he beat me.
I thought you might have put Jack Doyle in there.
Yeah, love a bit of Jack Doyle. Wide receiver, I'll have to go Marvin.
Yeah.
And defensive player, I'll go Bob Sanders.
Nice.
That's a strong ass team, man.
Yeah. Anything you guys would do would change in that?
I think it's. I'll go. I'll let Nathan go.
Have we ever done that? I don't think we have.
We have. We put everyone else on the spot, mate. That's
We've never done our own.
Go on then, Nathan. You seem like you want to do
it. Quarterback Andrew Luck, running back Jonathan Taylor, wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, tight end Jack Doyle, defense Darius Leonard.
Yeah.
That's just trying to be really different from Chris. Maybe be a little bit more fun for anybody watching or listening. But I still think that team runs with anyone.
Yeah, you could choose the greatest. You could choose it's your choice. God, for me, let me try and think that Andrew Luck for me, because that's where my love story with the Colts essentially began. And I think if we had Andrew Luck in this team, it would be a dynasty. Tight end, I'd have to go the new boy, Tyler Warren. Just for the simple fact the Bears drafted Colston Loveland above Tyler Warren.
Thank you, Ryan Poles.
That's insane. Running back, Jonathan Taylor. I don't think any Colts fan would argue with that. Wide receiver, I mean, for me, again, this might be different, but Michael Pittman.
Nice.
And that's not just trying to be different. Like, again, Pitt for me is in that famous Chris Ballard draft where we got both Taylor and Pittman in the second round.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor went in the second round. And then now my defensive player is a little bit different again, just because it would have been Shaq Leonard, but I'll change it. But I also think I'm so gutted this man retired to become a reverend. I mean, I'm happy for him, but Kyrie Willis at the time was just
good.
Let's remember, he hit Derrick Henry so hard on a 4th and 2 that Derrick Henry sat out the rest of the game. Like, he sat out the rest of the game and went, I need to get out the AFC South. But that's just to be a little bit different and bring up some more good memories. But yeah, no, it's just a little bit of fun. We do it. Chris, I mean, before we wrap up the show, because we've been going over an hour now, and my voice is starting to go again. Have you got any questions for us? Anything you want to ask us?
Oh, put me on the spot. Trying to think of something that wouldn't already have been asked. Like, how did you become a Colts fan? From where the team is right now, what's your ceiling for the season and what's the floor?
What a great question. Oof. We need to ask Ed this question as well, and I'll tweet it out. That's an amazing question.
Do you want my Harrison the Colts fan answer, or do you want a sensible answer?
Both.
My sensible answer is it depends what seed we finish. If we manage to sneak the 1 seed, I think. God, I always get mixed. Conference games, the semi-final.
Yeah,
I think the conference game is the ceiling. I've just seen this story too many times with teams alike, especially like the Pacers last year. I've just seen it too many times and it hurts. I'm scarred. I think the floor is the wild card. But if I'm being Harrison, then the floor's a Super Bowl and the ceiling's a Super Bowl next year.
Love it.
I think our ceiling is really interesting. I can see us matching up with Steelers or New England right now. Those two, I really can see that being a thing in that kind of 1 seed matchup. The internet's going to take receipts here, but I think if we get Pittsburgh again home, we do it. There's no way we turn it over 6 times again.
No.
I think especially if we're home, I don't really know the chances of that happening, but if we are, I really fancy us to go, past the first round. And I'd be really confident and say that I think the floor is a first round exit to somebody like Baltimore.
Yeah.
I mean, Baltimore are not a lock-in for the playoffs, mate.
They're not, but they, for the first time last week, became arguably I never thought I'd say these words, the most healthy team in the NFL. Their whole 52 is back. Kyle Hamilton can go back to playing his own position. Lamar's back. The line's back. And certainly with Tyler Linderbaum, though, if you're a Ravens fan or you're an NFL fan today, that contract's not moving anywhere. So that's really interesting for next year because I think he's a great center. But yeah, I think maybe it won't be the Ravens. I mean, it could be the Bills with the way that the East is going. How scary would that be? But yeah, I think the floor is first round exit. Yeah. Ceiling is championship game for sure. Just
trying to think who that put us against. Really, Chiefs.
Yeah,
we all know the 9-8 Chiefs are beating the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th seed or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It would be so Colts to have like one of our best seasons, get the 2 seed, and then you're playing a Buffalo or a Kansas City or a Baltimore in the first round. It's like, what have we done to deserve this?
Yeah.
My last point, because I will let you boys go eventually, but my last point is teams. This is not a 6-5 Colts team that's potentially making the playoffs. Teams that are coming to the Colts and going, this is a good team. I'm so annoyed that we lost in Pittsburgh because that was such a narrative loss and it really winds me up. So I want them again because I think we'd rip them apart and I think it'd be again, receipts will come for me, Nathan, and Colts fans will hate me for saying this, but I think it'd be a clear blowout if they came to us.
Look, man, Shane's had their number at Lucas Oil in his career. Yeah. We talked about in the build-up to the Steelers game. Historically, we've not done well in Pittsburgh as a franchise, but I just think like if we can get that home game, Lucas Oil's will be rocking, and I really fancy that. Like if that'd be my dream matchup, even if we lose, it would be because I just think I think it's a revenge game. The energy in the game, bring it on.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. And Chris, thanks for joining us. It is the bye week this week, so we might try and do different content, not just Colts related. We might try and expand to off-field stuff or something a bit different for you guys watching and listening. And I would say join us after a Colts win, but join us after the weekend. We might do a Monday show. Just join us at some point in the future. See you all later.